Welcome back, my dear followers. This is a new episode of the History of the American Mafia, a podcast written by Fabio Fabiano, translated and read by Grace Cartlisi. This is part 2 of a 5-part series on Lucky Luciano. After 18 months of bloody and successful battles of what will be remembered as the Castellammare War, Luciano decided to eliminate Masseria and take control of his gang. Before betraying his boss, Lucky secretly made an agreement with his counterpart Maranzano. Joe Bonanno recounted this event in his autobiography. According to the latter, Luciano asked in return for the elimination of Masseria to be put at the head of the late boss's gang to save the lives of the other members of the opposing clique, and to be recognized as his equal. Having obtained Maranzano's consent, Luciano put the conspiracy plan into action. He invited Joe to dinner in Coney Island, Brooklyn, at the boss's favorite restaurant, where he felt extremely safe, the new Villa Tamaro. The pretext for the meeting between Masseria and Luciano at a restaurant on the 15th of April 1931 was to study a plan to set up an ambush for Maranzano. Joe the Boss Masseria took all the necessary measures for the meeting. In fact, he arrived with an armored car and 3 bodyguards. Before dessert, Luciano excused himself and went to the bathroom, leaving the room. At the same time, 3 bodyguards left the restaurant and 4 of Lucky's loyal followers, Bugsy Siegel, Vito Genovese and the deadly Albert Anastasia, broke into the restaurant and murdered Masseria with gunshots. Luciano was stopped by the police in connection with the murder. The mafioso reported that he was not aware of the reasons why Masseria had been eliminated, and added that he had not seen anything of the murder because, at the time of the shots, he was in the bathroom. The investigators, having no evidence against Lucky, were forced to release him. At that point, Maranzano became the winner of the Castellammare War. Luciano was given the majority of Joe Masseria's township, and 3 other smaller townships were blessed by Maranzano. The winner had a role of absolute prominence in store for himself, which would have been an unwelcome surprise for Luciano. To express his desire to be recognized, the boss of bosses summoned mafia leaders from across the country, including Chicago boss Al Capone. The meeting was held in Wappinger Fall, New York. It was on that occasion that Maranzano revealed his cards by proclaiming himself the boss of bosses. This move angered Lucky, as he had violated their pact by placing himself in a superior position to him in New York and across the country. This wasn't the only bad news. There was also some terrible and secretive news to come. Through his trusty friend Tommy Three Fingers Brown Lucchese, a double agent because he had approached Maranzano asking to become his faithful lieutenant, Luciano discovered the plan of the boss of bosses. In fact, Maranzano had hired the Irish killer Vincent Canepazzo Coll to finish him off with machine guns. Luciano, again thanks to his spy Frank Three Fingers, also learned that Maranzano had problems with the tax authorities and that he would be subjected to a tax inspection by the office employees. Luciano moved before his rival. On the 9th of October in 1931, Frank Three Fingers was sent to Maranzano's office on the pretext of a courtesy visit. A few minutes later, a group of men appeared behind him, pretending to be taxmen. Not resembling Sicilians, they fooled Maranzano's bodyguards, who let them into the office. Once inside, the killers immobilized them by pointing their weapons at them and placed them against the wall. In addition to the bodyguards in the office, there were Maranzano himself and his secretary. Lucchese pointed Maranzano to the killers who pushed him into his office. Inside the room there was a violent fight. Maranzano was stabbed and shot several times before dying. It was a bloody murder due to the victim's vigorous resistance. At Maranzano's death in 1931, Luciano was the undisputed boss of the New York City Mafia. Despite this, he was tired of seeing blood spilled. Fed up with the violence of recent years and influenced by his close associate Lansky, he came to believe that the Mafia, which gangsters called Our Thing or Cosa Nostra, would evolve from a brutal gang to an efficient and organized group. This pushed him to organize a big meeting with the other 4 leaders of the Italian-American crime in Chicago, who, together with himself, would become the future 5 families. In this meeting, Luciano will revolutionize the structure of the Mafia and effectively create the modern American Mafia. Even the infamous Chicago mega-boss Al Capone attended the meeting. Each family would maintain its own territory, adopt a corporate structure and follow a similar set of rules. Furthermore, each member of the Mafia was supposed to remain silent about their activities, a code of honor defined as silence. Meanwhile, a dominant governing body called the Commission would maintain peace among all the families and rule over disputes. The system was brilliantly set up to avoid violence between rival families and individual mobsters, and to keep the Mafia's operations hidden.